Hello everyone! Today we are going to travel to the lost worlds that leave more questions than answers. Atlantis, Lemuria, Mu, these mysterious civilizations may have existed thousands of years ago but were destroyed by catastrophic events. Are they just myths, or are there real facts hidden in these stories? Atlantis is one of the most famous and discussed legends in the world. First mentioned in the works of the ancient Greek philosopher Plato, it is described as a powerful and prosperous civilization that disappeared underwater overnight due to a catastrophic cataclysm. But could Atlantis really exist? And what exactly caused its demise? Plato, in his dialogues Timaeus and Critias, says that Atlantis was located behind the Pillars of Hercules, nowadays it is the Strait of Gibraltar, and was a giant island that ruled the seas and influenced numerous other nations. The Atlanteans were known for their advanced technology, military power, and wealth, but their decline came with moral decay, and according to Plato, the gods punished them by plunging the island into the ocean. For centuries, the academic community has treated Plato's story as a myth or allegory, created to teach moral lessons about power and corruption. However, many scholars and thinkers believe that there may be some truth to this legend. Could there have been a civilization that possessed advanced technologies that we don't know about, and which disappeared as a result of a natural disaster? Archaeologists and researchers often turn to geological and marine data to find evidence of Atlantis' existence. One theory is that Atlantis could have been located on one of the now submerged islands in the Atlantic Ocean. In particular, the Mediterranean region, where volcanic eruptions and earthquakes have frequently occurred, is considered a possible place where Atlantis disappeared. One of the most famous theories is related to the volcano on the island of Santorini, where a huge eruption occurred around 1,600 years BC, which could have destroyed entire civilizations. Some believe that this eruption may have been the inspiration for Plato's story of the destruction of Atlantis. In 2023, a team of researchers from Spain and the United States conducted a new underwater survey west of the Strait of Gibraltar and discovered the remains of submerged structures that may belong to an ancient civilization. These structures, including the remains of walls and stone platforms, had a complex architecture that is not typical of known civilizations of the period. Researchers suggest that these ruins may be the remains of Atlantis or another unknown culture that perished during a global catastrophe. Another interesting aspect of the Atlantis legend is its advanced technology. According to Plato, the Atlanteans had incredible engineering knowledge and capabilities. They built huge canals, complex water supply systems, and even had the technology to control the seas. This suggests that their civilization could have been much more advanced than we imagine, perhaps even surpassing some of today's technologies. Proponents of the lost civilizations theory believe that Atlantis could have been part of a global culture that existed on Earth before the historical periods we know. According to this hypothesis, such civilizations could have been destroyed by global catastrophes such as floods or collisions with cosmic bodies. However, the remnants of their legacy may still be preserved under the waters of the oceans or in places where archaeological excavations have not yet been carried out. Could Atlantis have been not just Plato's invention, but a real civilization that reached the highest heights, but was destroyed in a catastrophe? Despite the fact that there is no scientific evidence yet, many researchers continue to look for traces of this lost world. Some even suggest that in the future, with the development of the latest technologies, we will finally be able to discover the truth about Atlantis, and this discovery will change our understanding of human history. Another interesting hypothesis is the theory that Atlantis could have been part of an ancient global civilization that had contacts with other lost cultures, such as Lemuria and Mu. Some scholars believe that the legends of these lost worlds may be evidence of an ancient civilization that spread across the globe and left traces in the form of megalithic structures, pyramids, and religious traditions. Was Atlantis really a real place, or is it just a myth that has lived in the minds of mankind for thousands of years? This question remains open and the search continues. But even if Atlantis is just a legend, it continues to inspire us to search for answers and to think about possible forgotten civilizations that may have existed on Earth long before ours. Lemuria is a mysterious civilization that, according to some versions, may have existed in what is now the Indian or Pacific Ocean. Although most archaeologists and scientists deny the existence of this lost continent, the Lemurian theory continues to excite the imagination of many researchers. It is assumed that Lemuria was a civilization that disappeared after a global catastrophe thousands of years ago, and its traces can still be found in the legends of ancient peoples. The term Lemuria was first coined in the 19th century by geologist Philip Sclater. He noticed that the fossilized remains of lemurs were found in both Africa and India, but were absent in the region between them. This led Sclater to believe that there once existed a continent that connected these territories, but subsequently sank. Although modern geology refutes the existence of such a land, the Lemurian theory has become widespread in occult and esoteric circles. One of the most popular theories of Lemuria's origin belongs to the Russian-American writer and mystic Helena Blavatsky. In her work, The Secret Doctrine, Blavatsky claimed that Lemuria was home to an ancient race of Lemurians, giants who had reached a high level of spiritual and technological development. They were capable of telepathy and other psychic abilities. According to her, the Lemurians were the first people on Earth, but their civilization was destroyed by a catastrophe that destroyed the continent. According to this theory, Lemuria was a vast continent that covered most of the Indian and Pacific Oceans. Its capital was a city built around the sacred Mount Meru, which was considered a center of spiritual development and technological knowledge. The Lemurians had advanced knowledge in the field of energy, and some researchers suggest that they could have used crystal technology to produce energy. This hypothesis is echoed in many esoteric sources, which claim that crystals could be a source of unknown energy that allowed the Lemurians to make great technological achievements. However, the main problem of the Lemurians, according to the mystics, was their spiritual disintegration. They lost their connection with nature and spiritual forces, which eventually led to the catastrophe. Some researchers believe that this catastrophe could have been of a volcanic or tectonic nature, just as Atlantis, according to legend, was destroyed by an earthquake and flood. Interestingly, many ancient civilizations have legends about lost continents and races that lived in the oceans. In the Tamil culture of South India, there is a myth about Kumarikandam, a huge flooded continent that existed to the south of India. This legend surprisingly coincides with the theories about Lemuria, as it is believed that Kumarikandam was also destroyed by a great flood or other catastrophe. In 2022, a group of underwater archaeologists discovered the remains of ancient structures at the bottom of the Indian Ocean near the island of Mauritius, which may indicate the existence of a lost civilization. These structures, although badly damaged, had regular geometric shapes, which is not typical of natural formations. Some of them resemble stone platforms or buildings. This discovery sparked a new wave of interest in the Lemurian theory, and researchers began to analyze whether this civilization could have really existed on these lands. In addition, there are interesting parallels between the legends of Lemuria and the myths of other ancient peoples. For example, Polynesian myths tell of a land called Hawaiki, which sank as a result of a catastrophe. This land, according to the myths, was home to gods and heroes who passed on knowledge of navigation and astronomy to people. Some researchers suggest that these myths may have had a common source with the legends of Lemuria, and that there was a global civilization that was destroyed by a global catastrophe. One of the most intriguing theories suggests that Lemuria was connected to Atlantis and other lost civilizations. According to this hypothesis, Lemuria and Atlantis were part of one large global civilization that possessed advanced technology and knowledge, but was destroyed by natural disasters. This theory points to the possibility of the existence of an ancient, forgotten culture that had links with all the great civilizations that left behind megalithic structures and other technological achievements. Despite the lack of solid scientific evidence for the existence of Lemuria, many people continue to believe in its reality. Some spiritual leaders and mystics claim that the Lemurians have not completely disappeared, and their descendants may live among us or even underground. Such theories are echoed in modern esoteric teachings that suggest the existence of underground cities or portals to other worlds left by ancient civilizations. Was Lemuria a real continent that perished in the waters of the Indian Ocean? Or is it just a myth that has lived in people's minds for centuries? There is no answer to this question yet. However, the search for Lemuria continues to inspire researchers, archaeologists, and dreamers. It remains a symbol of the possible existence of ancient knowledge that we have not yet discovered. Could the Lemurians have been so advanced that their technology and spiritual knowledge surpassed modern ideas? And if so, what could have caused their disappearance? Perhaps one day underwater archaeologists will be able to uncover more evidence of Lemuria's existence, and we will be able to learn the truth about this lost world. Among the most mysterious legends about lost worlds, an important place is occupied by the myth of Mu, a hypothetical continent that, according to some researchers, existed in the Pacific Ocean thousands of years ago. Like Atlantis and Lemuria, Mu is considered to be a lost civilization that achieved enormous technological and spiritual progress, but was destroyed by a catastrophic natural event. Although many scholars consider Mu to be a fictional continent, many supporters of alternative theories believe that this myth is based on real events. The story of Mu gained popularity in the late 19th century thanks to the work of James Churchward, an English military engineer and explorer who claimed to have found ancient records of this lost continent during his service in India. According to Churchward, he discovered ancient stone tablets written in an unknown language that preserved the history of the Mu continent. Churchward claimed that these tablets belonged to the sages of an ancient civilization and described a majestic continent that stretched across a large part of the Pacific Ocean. According to Churchward's theory, Mu existed approximately 200,000 years ago and was home to an advanced civilization with deep knowledge of construction, astronomy, and energy. Mu was not isolated. It had contacts with other ancient cultures, including Egypt, Central America, and India, and played a central role in the development of human civilization. However, as in the case of Atlantis and Lemuria, Mu was destroyed by a natural disaster, a huge earthquake that caused the continent to sink into the ocean. References to Mu can be found in numerous ancient myths and legends. In Polynesian and Pacific cultures, there are stories about vanished lands that disappeared under the sea. For example, the legends of the peoples of Micronesia and Polynesia tell of a giant continent or island where their ancestors lived, which was destroyed by a great cataclysm. Some researchers believe that these stories may be memories of real events, when parts of the land were flooded as a result of rising sea levels after the last ice age. In 2023, a group of underwater researchers made an expedition to the Mariana Trench, the deepest place in the world's oceans. During their research, they discovered the remains of underwater structures resembling the ruins of megalithic structures. These structures, located at a depth of more than 5,000 meters, had distinct geometric shapes, which excludes their natural origin. Some of them resembled platforms or stepped pyramids, similar to those found in Mexico and Egypt. These discoveries have rekindled interest in the possible existence of a lost continent in the Pacific Ocean. One of the most interesting theories is the suggestion that Mu may have been related to the builders of the ancient pyramids in Mexico and Egypt. This hypothesis is based on the similarities between the pyramids in these regions, which have a similar architectural structure, indicating a common source of knowledge or contact between different civilizations. Proponents of this theory believe that Mu could have been a center of knowledge that then spread around the world through migration or sea travel. In addition, there is evidence that megalithic structures exist in different parts of the Pacific, in Fiji, Hawaii, and the Easter Islands, which have no clear explanation for their origin. For example, on Easter Island, the famous Moai statues, giant stone heads facing the sea, are believed to be part of an ancient cult, but no one knows for sure who built them or why. Some researchers have suggested that these statues may have been connected to the Mu civilization, which left its mark on various Pacific islands before the continent was destroyed. An interesting aspect of the Mu theory is its possible influence on the cultures of other regions. For example, in ancient Mayan and Aztec texts, there are references to a mythical island or continent that disappeared under the sea. In their legends, they call it Aslan, the place where their ancestors came from. This parallel with the Mu legend suggests that both myths may have originated from the same source. In addition, many esoteric schools consider Mu to be the spiritual center of humanity, where ancient sages possessed knowledge about the nature of the universe and energy. Some mystics claim that Mu was a place where people maintained contact with higher civilizations, including extraterrestrials, and used crystals as energy sources for their technologies. According to this hypothesis, Mu was not just a continent, but a kind of spiritual and technological center of the ancient world, where scientific and mystical knowledge were combined. Why did Mu disappear? According to one theory, the destruction of this continent could have been caused not only by natural disasters, but also by internal conflicts or the misuse of powerful technologies. Some researchers suggest that Mu, like Atlantis, achieved too much technological progress, which ultimately led to its self-destruction. This theory suggests that ancient civilizations may have possessed energy technologies that they were unable to control, and this caused a global catastrophe. Despite the lack of clear scientific evidence for the existence of Mu, the search for the lost continent continues. New underwater technologies are allowing us to explore the ocean depths, and it is possible that future discoveries will provide more reasons to believe that Mu really existed. Even today, when modern science disproves the existence of lost continents, many people continue to believe that ancient civilizations like Mu may have existed and left behind traces that have yet to be found. Was Mu a real continent that flourished in the Pacific Ocean thousands of years ago? Or is it just another legend that lives on in the minds of people looking for answers to the origin of human civilization? The answer remains unknown for now, but each new step in research can bring us closer to unraveling this great mystery.